Luke Winder is a long way from his former life as a tradie in the city. He's on a mission to farm ethically, productively and profitably.
I want to be the person that you can point to and say, well, this idiot was an electrician in Sydney. He had absolutely no idea what he was doing. He never even stepped foot on a farm, and he's been able to find financial viability within the constraints of this production model.
Luke runs a multi-species farm on the New South Wales southern tablelands. He grows chemical-free beef, pork, lamb and poultry. Luke's free-range ducks are highly sought after and have found their way onto dinner plates at some of Australia's finest restaurants.
Just the flavour profile immediately jumped out and surpassed any other duck that we'd tried, and it just had to be on our menu from day dot.
So how exactly did this Sydney Sparky land here? Well, just as Luke is not a conventional farmer, the way in which he got into farming was also unconventional.
My father got very, very ill and got a brain tumour, and he passed away, and he asked me some questions on his way out that made me really think about what I was deeply passionate about.
Luke was 30 at the time, and despite having no ties to agriculture, he felt drawn to the land.
I'm from the city, I grew up in the city, I was a tradesperson, but I feel I knew deep down that this is what I wanted to at least have a crack at.
Was it a simple process then, becoming a farmer?
No, and I'm man enough to admit that figuratively, if I'd had an eject button on my production journey, I would have hit it many, many, many times. Now we have to be careful here too, because there's a sow that's a bit rowdy. She's got little piglets.
Today, the appeal of this place is obvious, both when it comes to working the land and for raising a young family.
Hello, pigs.
But when Luke first purchased this property about a decade ago, it wasn't quite so picturesque.
Oh, look at this little fella.
Oh, look at this little fella.
I mean, the reason I got this place so cost effectively, and it was within my budget, is it was kind of the armpit of this area. It was covered in blackberry, some of the most gnarly blackberry you've ever seen.
It was while trying to get on top of his weed problem that Luke accidentally stumbled into pork production. After trying and failing with goats, he put in a few pigs.
We went from about 65 acres of blackberry, believe it or not, and we let the pigs do what they do naturally, and without any chemical or mechanical means, we were able to eradicate all the blackberry.
Luke got to work building a farm that was, in his words, beyond free range. From the outset, he was drawn to regenerative practices, using no chemicals, focusing on rebuilding ecosystems, improving soil health, and ultimately growing the best food possible.
Biomimicry, I call it, biomimicry. Essentially viewing animals and ecology in nature and replicating that as close as we can on a commercial template.
Every cent earned was reinvested. And one day, Luke decided to try his luck with duck.
I was so naively stupid, I just said, yeah, well, I'll have a crack at growing ducks.
So how many ducks have you got on the place at any one time?
So we carry about 6,500.
Okay. And this is good weather for ducks? It's a bit chilly for me, but they're happy?
100%. So this is the time of year we are turning out our highest quality duck. We call these dinosaur ducks, and we're going to average, you know, a dressed bird here of about 2.4 kilos is a decent sized bird.
Guarded by Maremas, Luke's ducks experience the benefits of outdoor living from early in life. These ducks are just 3 weeks old.
And we toss them out on the ground, and we make sure we see them eat, and we make sure we see them drink.
Yep.
We make sure they've got predator protection.
Yep.
And we leave them alone.
Okay.
And the chefs love this duck because, especially this time of the year, you're going to throw a lot of fat, and the duck fat is very desirable.
Okay. It makes sense on this cold and chilly day, windy. Yeah. You need a bit of insulation.
But this is definitely not the cute stage. We'll go and have a look at the cute stage.
Okay.
This is the
ugly
puberty.
Teenage years. Off you go. Oh, he's our pet duck now.
He's my mate now.
Oh, look at him. There we go. Before they're ready to be tossed outside, this is home for the young ducklings. It's called a deep carbon brooder and is basically a giant compost heap. It's tilled every morning.
And one of the amazing things that happens when you get compost working actively is it generates a lot of heat. And that's how we keep the birds warm.
Even when it's snowing outside, which it does a few times a year, this room remains warm enough.
The incredible thing about this room is there's no electrical energy, but there's a lot of human energy. But I don't mind that. I reckon giving people jobs is a better option than paying for diesel or electricity.
Once the compost has reached a certain height, a third is removed and spread onto the pastures for fertiliser.
The ducks have transformed this property. You know, you hear people talking about what comes out the back end of a chicken and the benefits. I would suggest that what comes out the back end of the duck is much more beneficial, very liquid, gets absorbed very quickly into the topsoil and massively beneficial. We've turned this place into some really lovely pasture land now, and we then get the opportunity to graze cattle and sheep and everything else on that.
Don't be deceived by the size of this property though. This is still an incredibly productive farm. Despite being just 48 hectares, they managed to turn out between 7.5 to 9 tonne of protein here every week. Growing the animals is one thing, but finding the right market for them and getting them to it is what makes Luke's business stack up. His strategy has been to vertically integrate as much as possible, meaning he has control of almost every step of production. Every Monday, Luke's on the road delivering ducks, chickens, cattle, lambs or pigs to processors at Picton and Tennyson.
We have our own butcher shops, we're doing our own wholesale production, we're breaking down birds, doing all the packaging, all the value adding, the entire process from go to O. The only process we don't do is the processing of the animals, and legally we have to output that.
It's a lot of running around, but it's necessary to make this relatively small regenerative farm work financially in commercial food production.
If you have the animal processed and you sell it as a hung carcass, you'll make more money. If you then cut that carcass up into steaks and package it, you will make more money. If you take that and then turn it into a sausage, you will make more money. Every extra step that you take, you're getting closer to that retail dollar. And on the scale that I'm at and the size that we are, I've found that I've had to go the whole way with it.
Despite all the legwork, Luke's found for the everyday consumer, ducks can be a hard sell.
I've tried for years and years and years standing at that farmer's market explaining to people how simple it is to cook duck. It's so under-eaten in Australia. It's like a beautiful bit of sirloin with pork crackling on it.
While duck may not be a weeknight staple in the average Australian household, it is a favourite for fine dining.
So I think we'll need probably about 16 portions. So if we roast off 8 duck, should be sweet.
Tathra Place ducks have been on the menu at Bennelong at the Sydney Opera House for the better part of a decade.
Look, it's so tasty. I mean, it's just got such a depth and, you know, sweetness to it. We're currently matching it with a rosehip and beetroot puree and then a few seasonal berries. A lot of our guests do love a story behind the produce that they're getting. There's none better than what Luke's doing.
It's this kind of loyalty that's given Luke the opportunity to take risks and expand whenever possible.
Anyone can grow a duck, that's true. But if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, to be able to get double or triple what a chef is used to paying for a duck to cover the costs of the production methodology, that's difficult.
But even with all of the feathers in Luke's cap, he's upfront that without some good fortune, he probably wouldn't have been able to get into agriculture at all.
I also, out of luck more than anything else, purchased a property in Sydney that earned a lot of money that I had the opportunity then to sell and move out here.
Luke says when he and his wife Pia first moved to the farm, he was also able to work for nearly 5 years without paying himself a wage, and acknowledges that giving himself that gift of time is something most people simply can't afford.
And that's only because I've got an incredible wife that just had a wonderful, wonderful career and could support that financially and, you know, emotionally. Pig, 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 pig! Come on, Haggy, out the way.
It was and is still a financial gamble though, and Luke and Pia have no choice but to stay small, relatively speaking.
It's just like...
Buying more land isn't feasible. Like most of the country, prime grazing land here has become basically unaffordable. Luke believes that needs to change.
If you get the absolute honour and privilege of owning a couple of 100 acres where it's super high quality, arable, deemed and zoned by our government to be production land, this is land that's been set aside as a society for us to grow food. You should have to grow some food on it.
That's exactly what Luke plans to keep on doing. He's also working towards setting up a training program to show others how to farm in the way that he does.
How to be ecologically responsible but still be able to earn a white-collar salary. We're never going to attract young people into agriculture if there's not a fair living to be had.
Luke's confident there is a future in farming, and he hopes his 3 young sons have the opportunity for agricultural careers, if they choose.
We need to start telling some stories about the people that are doing it really, really well and how it is this just amazing lifestyle, and you can have a really fantastic life and be really successful and be a farmer as well.